Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Rambler Sports Locker.
Loyola Athletics is looking good for the most part with big city rival wins and sweeping scores, but one team can't seem to get it together.
We have recaps on men's and women's soccer, golf, and both men's and women's volleyball, so stay tuned.
Plus, much more as we talk about the Cubs making history and debate bat flips versus touchdown celebrations. All on this week's Rambler Sports Locker.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm Blake Keller.
And I'm Madeline Kenney. The women's volleyball team hosted conference foe Indiana State last Saturday. With a win against the Sycamores, Loyola would match its conference win total from last season. Indiana State would not go down without a fight though, as they took the first set, winning 25-16. But the night ended up being all about Amanda Cushion. The Loyola first-year hitter had a career high of 21 kills on the night. Cushion led the Ramblers to 3 straight set wins and a match victory. With the win, Loyola improves to a 5-1 conference record and are currently in first place in the Missouri Valley Conference standings. The Ramblers will travel west this weekend to take on Missouri State and Wichita State. This road trip will have major implications for the conference tournament. Wichita State and Missouri State are currently second and third in the conference standings.
We'll now spike it over to Jake Mazanke to hear more about why the women's volleyball team has been so successful this season.
Clark, the women's volleyball team has had a really strong start to the season. Can you tell me a little bit more what they've done so far?
Well, obviously it's their best start to the season in over a decade. They're 5-1 in the Missouri Valley Conference, and they've already matched their wins from last season. And right now they're playing with great confidence.
And who's been their key player so far this season?
It has to be Morgan Reardon. She did it last year and she's doing it this year. Double-digit kills in her last 2 games. She's just on fire.
And kind of, can you take me back, how has she done last year compared to this year?
Well, she's been focusing on her defense. Last year, she was the main point provider, had the most kills out of the entire team. And this year, she's matching those kills as well as upping her defensive play.
What are they going to have to do to continue their success through the rest of the season here?
They have to play with confidence. They saw it. They had 10 games coming into preseason, lost their second game of the Missouri Valley Conference. Right away, bounced right back. They're on 4 straight wins, and that's what they got to do. They got to keep their confidence, play with great gusto, and make sure that they're getting their points.
All right, thanks, Clark. Back to you guys at the desk.
On to the men's side of the court, the back-to-back NCAA national champions are picking up where they left off. The Ramblers met the Lions on the court last Saturday in an exhibition match. York University has had some recent success in the North. The Lions won a bronze medal in the Ontario University Athletics program and went on to compete in the Canadian Inter-University Sport Championship Tournament, their first time in 10 years. This past May, the Ramblers became the 4th school to win back-to-back NCAA championships in the tournament's 45-year history, defeating crosstown rival Lewis University. The match between the Ramblers and York University Lions is the first time the 2 programs have met. Loyola ended up sweeping York 4-0. And now, let's go over to Dylan for this week's By the Numbers.
Hey, I'm Dylan Conover. Welcome to this week's By the Numbers. The number for this week is 21. The Loyola men's volleyball team was pretty good last year. They went 28-2 and won the national championship for the 2nd straight year. But how dominant were they? Of the 30 games they played, 21 of them were completed in the minimum 3 sets, and the Ramblers won all 21 of those games. Hopefully they can do the unthinkable this year and get a three-peat. The Bulls are just a few days away from starting the regular season. The captain of the team, Derrick Rose, is set to make nearly $21 million in base salary over the remaining 2 years of his contract. And it's the guy who wears the number 21, Jimmy Butler, who is stepping up his play and becoming a leader on the court. As one of the best two-way players in the game, his services will be much needed as the Bulls try to win their first title since the Jordan era. In 1921, the Decatur Staleys moved to Chicago. 1 year later, they changed their name to the Chicago Bears. The legendary owner and coach George Halas purchased the rights to the team for $100. Today it's valued at $2.5 billion, and it's the winningest franchise in football history. Through 95 completed seasons, the Bears have 735 wins, which by the way is 35 times 21. October 21st of this year is the day Marty McFly time traveled to in Back to the Future 2, filmed in 1989. In it, the Cubs had won the World Series, and they're currently fighting for the National League title, which would send them to the World Series, something they haven't won in 107 years. 21 days from now, if necessary, will be Game 7 of the World Series, and by then we'll know if Marty actually saw the future. And finally, today's my 21st birthday. As you can see, I've definitely taken a turn for the worse. I don't really know what happened to me. Even the 2-year-old me is kind of confused and is kind of saying, "What's going on, Dylan?" And as a bonus, if you add all the time you've seen my face or heard my voice on this show over the course of my short Rambler Sports Locker career, you'd get 21 minutes. On that note, I'll throw it back over to the desk. I'm Dylan Conover, and thanks for watching this week's By the Numbers.
Happy birthday, Dylan. You've been an amazing addition to the Rambler Sports Locker. Here's a 21 more. Loyola's men's and women's golf teams hosted the Whistling Straits Intercollegiate Tournament earlier this week in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. The women's golf team continues to show improvement. The Ramblers were in 5th place after day 1 of the tournament. Looking to climb the leaderboard, sophomore duo Summer Mosier and Jessie Stodd came out swinging. Both shot 79s on the final day. Mosier finished with a team low 244 and tied for 6th place, while Stodd finished 2 strokes behind and had a draw for 9th. Loyola finished the tournament tied for 3rd place out of 9 teams. And now shifting over to the men's golf team, the Ramblers are trying to get out of their funk. Loyola has been struggling this season, placing in the bottom 4th of every tournament so far. Freshman duo Zach Hoskins and Orion Yamat led the Ramblers on the last day of the tournament. Hoskins fired 4 over par and Yamat followed by 2 strokes. Senior PJ Reiner carded a team low 231, earning him a draw for 17th place. The Ramblers took 9th place out of 10 teams. The men's team will travel to Ohio to wrap up its fall schedule at the Dayton Flyer Invitational on Monday and Tuesday.
Just a totally random. How's Nebraska's football season going?
Blake, you know that they've lost 4 games this season in the final drive of their opponents.
That's sad. It really is. But you know what's not sad?
What?
The Cubs. RSL hit up Wrigleyville to celebrate the Cubs' big win this week.
Here at Wrigley Field, where the Cubs just pulled out their first NLDS victory in 12 seasons. They beat the Cardinals 3-1 in the best-of-5 series. They pulled out the Go Cubs!
The Cubs did it. Well, sort of. They still have to win 8 more games to capture their first World Series title in more than a century, but don't tell that to Cubs fans. Chicagoans packed the streets outside Wrigley Field after the National League Division Series, and the celebration was one for the ages. Fans have a lot of ideas for why the Cubs are doing so well, despite famously being cursed by the curse of the Billy Goat, but one fan said he had the real answer, literally.
He has not been in the ballpark yet, but he has been outside multiple times. And it looks like he's doing a good job reversing the curse.
Although the goat's probably the real reason the curse has been reversed, some fans have other superstitions.
This is it. This is the year.
Why do you think they're going to do that?
Well, Back to the Future, and just like all the players know it. Everybody feels it. It's in the air. It's happening.
And then some fans put their superstitions aside and just screamed.
Oh, they're going to go all the way this season, baby! They're going all the way!
And screamed. And screamed.
It's great, man. It's real great, man. Real great.
Some of them were so happy they couldn't even put their thoughts into real words.
They're going to win the World Series, everything in my life.
For a city and a team that's been saying next year is our year for seemingly forever, a win against the rival Cardinals came as a relief. It was the first time the Cubs clinched a series at Wrigley Field in franchise history, and it even came with some broken records.
This comes a day after the Cubs hit an MLB postseason record 6 home runs in Game 3 of the series yesterday. For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Nader Issa.
Wow, that's crazy. Go Cubs, go.
It looked like Nader had a really good time, and what a time to be alive if you're a Cubs fan, honestly.
Oh, true.
But I'm going to bring it back to Loyola Sports. Women's soccer, they had a game last weekend with an early attempt at a goal with Jessica Bean. Loyola was looking to defeat Valparaiso last Sunday. However, the Crusaders overcame the Ramblers 3-1. So back over to Jake Mazanke, who spoke with beat reporter for a midseason analysis.
Henry, how have they done so far this year?
The women have done all right. They're 6-6-3 non-conference and 1-1-1 in the Valley.
And who's been the key player so far for these women?
Shelby Koch actually won College Soccer 360's Primetime Player based on her play in the DePaul game and her game-winning goal against Milwaukee.
And what do you think that the women's soccer team needs to do the rest of the season to be successful in Missouri Valley Conference play?
They need to just stop giving up so many goals. They've lost a few games in a row, like giving up 3 goals, so defense needs to get better.
And, you know, we've seen a lot from Maddie Ford, the sophomore goalie. She's been strong so far this year. Do you think it's the defensive play, or do you think it's her play?
I think it's more the defense, because mostly she's making great saves, and it's just too much coming at her.
All right, thanks so much, Henry.
Women's soccer will now turn their attention to its Missouri Valley Conference schedule. The Ramblers' first stop is against the Drake Bulldogs.
The men's soccer team travels to Springfield, Missouri to take on the Missouri State Bears. The Ramblers kept the defending conference champions in check early. Loyola held Missouri State to only 3 shots in the first half. On to the second half, now where defense was still at a premium. Loyola forward Elliot Collier failed to score on an early chance. The game went to double overtime and ended in 0-0 tie. Let's send it over to Jake Mazanke to get some more analysis on how the men have done so far.
And finally, I'm here with Dylan Conover, who is the beat writer for the men's soccer team. Dylan, how have they done so far this year?
They're doing pretty well. I think they're fulfilling a lot of the expectations that people had on them. They're 5-3-3 right now. They just started conference play and they're 1-1-1. They've done all right, but their main thing is they're not that good on the road. They haven't won a game yet on the road. They're 0-3-2 on the road, and that's got to improve. At home, they're great. They haven't lost a home game in, I think it was like over 15 games or something like that. So they're doing really well. They just need to buckle up and maybe do a little better on the road, and they'll be way better than anyone thought they could be.
So there's definitely a home field advantage at Loyola.
Definitely. No, and that's well known.
And so who's been the key player so far for them this year?
Well, I wish I could nominate a group of players, the defense, but I'll just have to go with the captain of the defense, the guy behind the net, and that's Tim Dobrovolsky. He's with their double overtime tie, 0-0 against Missouri State, who knocked them out of the conference tournament last year. Dobrovolsky, he secured his 19th shutout, which puts him 3 away from the all-time Loyola record. So even though the defense is letting in less than a goal a game per average, I'm just going to have to give it to the netminder and give it to Dobrovolsky.
And what do they have to do to continue their successful season thus far?
It's that defense. I mean, it's no secret, and they know it, that defense is kind of what's going to power their chances of getting, through the conference tournament, hopefully into the national tournament. Obviously, if they're only scoring about a goal a game as well, even though their defense is so good, they're only scoring about a goal a game. So if they could get a couple more in, and they've got the guys to do it, they're getting chances too. If they can just get a couple more of those goals that they shoot to go in, they'll do a lot better.
You mentioned the national tournament a bit. You've talked to those guys a lot, being a beat writer. And do you think, is that their eventual goal? Is that what they've been talking about?
Yeah. Their goal is to get a top 1 or 2 seed in the conference going into the conference tournament, which will give them a bye during the conference tournament. And obviously that means one less game to play. And given that they're already a defensive team, the game's going to be close. Being fresh will give them a definite advantage in the tournament, which will hopefully propel them, into the national stage.
What do you think are their chances?
I think they can do it. Even, Missouri State, the team that beat them, a 0-0 tie in double overtime. Their defense is good. The defense will keep them in it. And you can always improve on offense, but if your defense is strong, your defense is the best offense.
Defense wins championships.
That's right.
Thanks so much, Dylan.
All right.
Thanks, Jake.
We do have a special guest in our studio today. We'd like to welcome our RSL member, Ralph. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Hi, Blake. Hi, Maddie.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
You going to ask me what I have on my mind?
I am going to ask you what you have in your mind. I know that you're very passionate about the Olympics. Since they're in Rio this upcoming summer,
they are.
What's going on in your mind?
Well, for starters, we all have to root for Greece right now. They have incredible, difficult economic times. The country is in tumult. But let's think about what they contributed to us. Our form of government, our philosophy, the great art, the great theater, and we can't forget athletics, the ancient Olympic athletics. And that's what I'm interested in. We're in Rio this summer, And what I would like to do is I would like to go back to a more traditional approach to the Olympics and do like they did back then, and that is to participate nude.
That's an interesting take.
That's not interesting. That's what they did. They were buck naked when they used to compete.
Why do you think they should do that? Why not represent their state?
You know
or
what?
their country colors?
I will defer to Plato, okay? Mind, body, and spirit. He's the one that might have suggested these kinds of things. And I don't think that it would really be a bad thing for the sport.
Why?
Well, you know what? I just have, you know what? There's no reason why Usain Bolt shouldn't run down the track as fast as he can, or that Michael Phelps shouldn't swim as well as he might be able to swim. And I just, it's the purity really of it that goes back to the spirit of the ancient games, and it's, for me, it's a very difficult thing to, you know. And speaking of that, okay, the ancient games, okay, in that great tradition, okay, when Alekos Chiragakis threw that first discus and won first place, guess what he didn't do? He didn't stand up and start beating on his chest or jumping on the ground or spiking his own discus. No, he just went about his business. It was just all part of being an athlete. Unlike what we might be hearing over in the Ramble right over there.
Let's take it to the Ramble.
Hi, welcome to this week's Ramble. I'm your host, Bridget Murphy, and I'm here with Jake Mazanke and Nader Issa. And like you said, we're in the middle of October now, and we're deep into a very tight World Series race, tighter even than Nader's pants. And in this World Series, there's been an upcoming trend where players are flipping their bats at the end of an intense at-bat. So we're here today to debate the merits of this new celebration trend to the time-honored tradition of touchdown celebration dances. Nader.
All right. Touchdown dances obviously are really exciting. You can get the crowd pumped up. They look cool. There's a lot of different things you can do. But there's nothing like a bat flip to change the momentum of a game. We all saw Jose Bautista's bat flip, but the one I have in mind is Kyle Schwarber's in the Cubs-Pirates wildcard game last week. Kyle Schwarber hit a bomb out of PNC Park. As soon as the home run left the park, he flipped his bat. After that, the Cubs had all the momentum. Cubs fans went nuts. The team got excited. It just changed the momentum of the whole game.
Jake?
I'd like to start off by saying that the last time we debated baseball, I won by a landslide. So just wanted to start off with that, just trying to shake you a little bit.
Thanks, man.
But then I also want to talk a little bit about touchdown celebrations. You mentioned the shift in momentum. I don't think anything shifts momentum more than an 80-yard touchdown. If a bomb down the sideline or breaking a run down the sideline and taking it to the house. And then afterwards, you're talking about entertainment. These guys, these are grown men. They're large human beings, like doing a bunch of dances. You see the Gronk spike, which has gone viral. They got the salsa dances, and now all the players this year, they're dropping the whip. There's nothing more entertaining in sports than seeing a TD celebration.
Nader, what do you have to say to people who say that bat flips in baseball are disrespect to a game that's for a long time been held as a sport that doesn't like to brag?
Yeah, of course. Baseball has always been a sport like that, like you said, that doesn't like to brag. But sports are still competition. Baseball is a part of it. It's a really big sport in this country. And with competition comes bragging. You can't not brag. There's a difference between hitting a player with a pitch or anything else that can be seen as disrespectful. But a bat flip, in my opinion, isn't that disrespectful. It's just celebrating.
And Jake, what do you say to people who think that the football players who do these touchdown celebrations are showing off or making fools of themselves or just adding something to the game that doesn't have to be there?
I mean, football itself is just a fun game. It's very exciting. There's a lot going on. It's about big plays, big hits. It's a big money game. That's why people go to the games. It's the most popular sport in America right now because you have so much. It's such a there's so much going on, and I think that touchdown celebrations definitely add to it.
Okay, for this week, I'm going to go with Nader because of the importance of the World Series bat flips right now and because the Cubbies are still in it, and we're hoping that the Cubbies are going to win it. So back to you at the desk.
Jake, I beat you this time.
I was going to say, Maddie, show me some of your best dance moves. I know you have them on the court. You're a cheerleader. I know you're going to be going mad at Rambler Madness this Friday, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me more?
is at the Gentile Arena. It's at 7 p.m. There will be free t-shirts, free food, free drinks for students. It's a free admission, so you bring your families and everything. One student will have the opportunity to win free tuition for a year. It's an introduction to the men's and women's basketball season, so it should be a good time. And rumor has it there's even a celebrity going to be there.
I mean, I always look forward to Lou Wolf. Is that who it is?
No. I mean, Lou Wolf will probably be there, but Sister Jean, the chaplain of the men's basketball team, will obviously be making an appearance and probably going to say a prayer.
Always. And I'll be sure to stop by. Let's wrap up here so I can get a good night's rest, so I can be sure to party tomorrow with all my fellow Ramblers. So for this week's episode of the Rambler Sports Locker, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook for updates throughout the week. I'm Blake Keller.
And I'm Madeline Kenney. Thanks for stopping by the locker, and don't forget to turn out the lights.